Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I have discussed about how to write news. And this video is for the beginners level. So let's start. First of all, news. What is news? News is getting information on the current events from the four directions of the globe at your place. As the definition says, it's from north, west, east and south. How is news delivered? News is delivered through three different medias. The first one is the print media, where you have the printed newspapers at your hand, through books and through posters. The second one is the broadcast media, which is through radio, through FM, through television. And the internet, the latest internet facilities around the globe has been of an immense help to us in providing information wherever we are. News can be categorized into two types. The first one is hard news. Now what actually is hard news? It's a time-bound news and the topics are concerned on really serious ones. For example, terrorist attacks, political events, natural disasters, foreign affairs, issues surrounding national interest. And the second one, that is the soft news. They are timeless, about infotainment. Like what we see in the soft news is that they can be broadcast or even printed after a year. And these news stories are of human interest and they draw our interest on a regular basis. The major thrust of the news is hard news and is centered on 5 W's. Let's see. An 18-year-old boy. Who? An 18-year-old boy. What happened to that boy? He got killed. Where? At Mukti Chowk, Amor. And when was it? On Saturday. By whom? An unidentified person, according to an area police source. So in the major threats, what we have noticed is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 W's have been covered. So how is news gathered? News agency is also called press agency, which supplies news stories, both hard and soft, to publications and broadcasts. For instance, Agency French Press ARP, Associate Press AP, Gippsland Press Agency DPA, Press Trust of India PTI, Rashtriya Samachar Samiti RSS. Well, these are few examples of the agencies around us. Like as you can see, they carry a logo like the AFP, Agency French Press, AP, Associated Press American, Reuters British, Gippsland Press Agency from Germany, RSS, Rashtriya Samachar Samiti Nepal, and Press Trust of India PTI. Each of it carries a logo. So generally, when we get a newspaper in our hand, how do we study it? Let's see the front page layout of a newspaper. For an example, here we have got Kathmandu Post. And this Kathmandu Post, the Kathmandu Post has a logo on top of it. You can see the masthead, that is the title of the paper, we call it masthead. Below that, date, day, month. And you have ear panel, the space left on both sides of the masthead, which is used for weather forecast or advertisement. Ear panel, let's not forget it. Major news headline. Then we have the box news and highlighted. Then we have photo caption, also we can call it as cut line. And far to the left, we can see the slug. Still, we have some layouts on the front page. The number of the pages in the prices cannot be missed out. We have the advertisement corner as well. And the last news, the bottom line news in the front page of a newspaper is called the anchor news headline. It's most of the time soft news in type. Now we know the layout of the newspaper. Now we are coming to the news reports. What actually is news report? It is a piece of information or an account of an event narrated by a prominent person or well acquainted with the event. These news are basically based on uncommon and unusual events or events which fall outside the common experience, unnoticed by the common people. And we have a purpose here, that is, we inform the audience. And who are the audience? The readers, the viewers, the listeners. They are to be made known what's happening around the world. And what about the news stories? News stories describe any happenings, any events in isolation, and which we also call it as beat. News stories are time sensitive. And they also answer the questions like who, what, where, when, and why. News articles. Articles are opinionated views of an individual consisting foreground, background, and conclusion, which could either be open-ended or closed-ended. Open-ended means for the readers, to come out with a conclusion, or closed-ended where the opinion has been stopped there of the writer. It is a segment of something associated with other parts forming a structured set. Articles start with introduction, continue with arguments, and conclude in simple but very significant reporting. Now here in this slide you can see how the format of the news articles should be. Let's see. The first one is the byline. That is the person who has written it, the writer. The dateline. Then we have the intro or the lead. Then we have the main body. If available, you can give a picture, and right above the picture you can see the headline of the news. Go bottom down. There you can see the description and the source. And finally, we do have a conclusion. But if it is in the front page of a newspaper, of course, the picture of advertisements can be added there. We have certain terminologies which shouldn't be forgotten. Like, let's see, headline. This is the title of a news story which should be eye-catching. It's because we avoid going through the news which does not give us attraction. Byline. It's the name of the reporter who has filed the story. And the dateline? The name of the place and date of the story filed from a particular town or area. Now what's lead? We don't usually say paragraphs, but let's call it a lead. The first paragraph or the lead of the news story, and there are half a dozen leads, and all leads don't follow 5 Ws. It's not mandatory. Explanation or the main body or the description or the source. The second and third leads of the story gradually unfold the background of the story, and which we call it as body. Like what happens in the first lead, all the 5 Ws have been answered. Now the other paragraphs will unfold those 5 Ws causes. Deadline. The time fixed by the text for the submission of each news story. Conclusion. It wraps up the story and could be open-ended, as I said earlier. That is, the readers decide the conclusion, or close-ended, which is the reporter sums up the story. Now, here in this slide, some tips with examples for a good start. How efficiently can we start writing news? The first and the foremost thing is sentences should be concise, precise, and succinct. Like in the aftermath of the flood disaster, okay, what happened? Survivors in villages of Bara and Parsa districts are at risk of waterborne diseases, according to doctors present there. Here, the sentences have been divided into 3 separate segments, but each segment carries the concise and the precise fact that the readers should get. Always begin with a strong lead. Like example is here, Province 1 recorded second successive win, while Province 4 inflicted the second straight loss on Province 2 in the Under-16 soccer league being played at the Dasrat Stadium on Wednesday. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's start with a very strong lead, and this should be a very catchy statement for the reader to get interested and continue on with the reading. Okay, we usually have to refer someone in the story using a full name and with correct spelling and job title sometimes. But then, as you can see here in the example, Kesar Kumar Sharma, we have the full name and the title of this person. The newly appointed director said he was yet to be briefed on the official matter as he had just assumed office. The second sentence that follows does not bring Kesar Kumar Sharma on a continuous basis. Here, on subsequent references, I have just used the last name. Sharma was the assistant director in the department. Rather than saying or writing, Kesar Kumar Sharma was the assistant director in the department, it's not necessary. We have already known that we are talking about Mr. Sharma there. At least use one quotation and we call it code from someone who was the part of the incident. Like here in this example, you can see MMC coach Lopsang Gurung is being referred here. And what he said has been exactly been put into the sentence. We need to improve on scoring department. That was what he said to the press. And that's what we exactly put it here. So this is called a code. At least 1 or 2 codes can be used from the second lead or the third lead. But too many codes in one lead may not be very suitable for the news writing. It's very advisable that we use active voice, that is subject plus verb plus object structure, because in a rare case we use passive voice. Always cut unnecessary words. It's very simple. Like let's see here. She believed that he was honest. That is not necessary here. We could say she believed he was honest. In the process of starting a car, I called my mom. When I started a car, I called my mom. He really loves cats, especially the white ones. He loves cats, especially the white ones. So, unnecessary words will just be very monotonous and lengthy to the readers. Let's try to avoid such words. Avoid using complicated sounding words. We often find that very many of us are interested to use words which sound very complicated. Like we have an interest to bring out new types of vocabularies and prove ourselves that we are well learned about high words. This will of course drive the readers and it will give a vague idea of what you are trying to give. Like for example, there was a situation of exigency, so everybody vociferated. Suppose I replace these words with simple words like there was a situation of emergency, so everybody shouted respectively. Finished. Everybody shouted. It is simple. It should be simple and very clear and understandable because we are writing something for the common public. And let's make it sure that not everyone will be aware of these complicated sounding words. So as a rule goes, let's not use first person in the news stories. Punctuation goes inside the quotation marks, and this is very, very important. Like as you can see here, punctuation goes inside the quotation marks means like here, let's look at the word anticipated and there's a full stop. Now this full stop is added before we close up with the punctuation quotation mark. And in the news writing, we usually avoid personal opinions. The District Administration Office (DAO) in Jhapa denied Shivu Chaudhary of citizenship, citing legal provisions. I don't have the right to give my opinion. I shouldn't be saying he should have done it. The District Administration Office should have given Shivu Chaudhary the citizenship. I am not allowed to do so. So, no opinions, no personal opinions. So now, how do we start writing news? First of all, let's plan it. Headline, as I had already discussed in my previous slides, it should be eye-catching to the reader. Lead should be of a single sentence summarizing the main points of the story using the 5 Ws. The main body followed by description and source leads to explore the story in detail. Use 5 Ws to cover the event as far as possible. Always use the past tense. Well, these are just revisions we already discussed. But now let's see, what are those 5 Ws? Who? The subject of the story. What? The main action happening in the story. When? It indicates the time of the occurrence of the event. Where? Place of the event. Why? Explaining the event in detail. And finally, let's conclude our article with a summary of the facts of the events and leave a thought-provoking statement for the future. Of course, depending on how we end up the story or what the story content is. Well, that's all, and I think it would be much valuable for the beginners to know how to know and learn how to write news. Thank you.